Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. Have another 2024 rookie report here for you on the channel. I'm going to be joined by Jason DiRienzo, and we're going to break down everything you need to know about Ray Davis. Broke down a bunch of all 22 films on my dashboard subscription. There's some information below. If you want to check that out, send me an email. I'll give you a 2-week subscription. Got a bunch of cut ups of all your favorite rookies and all 22 scouting reports, all sorts of goodies in there. We like Ray Davis, man. I mean, again, he's going to be a day 3 pick. We're going to go over his profile. Might be a player who hits our dynasty rosters as a flex option. So you play dynasty, you play fantasy, you're looking for a YouTube channel out there, hit that subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Trying to grow the channel. Enjoy the show. All right, Jason, let's talk about Ray Davis. All right. So I mentioned before, I cut up the all 22 film on his Georgia game, his Alabama game, his Clemson game. We're going to go over his career statistics here and a bunch of other good stuff. So his career statistics, 714 yard or attempts for 3,500 yards, 27 TDs, averaging 5 yards, a tote, 87 receptions, 713 yards, 11 TDs, averaging 8.2. It was really nice because, he was a Temple guy, right? That he was at Temple for 2 years, Vanderbilt for 2 years. But when he went to Kentucky for his 5th season, he really he caught 33 balls, I believe, this year. It was the first season
Mm.
that he really was involved in the passing game. And I know when we get to a scouting report, we are going to talk about that. His PFF grades for the season, 91 in the rushing grade, which is the highest. Looks like it's in the 90th percentile. Elusive rating, 96.6, just under 75 percentile. Yards after contact, something I'm sure we're going to talk about on his profile here, 3.81 yards after contact in the 80th percentile. It looks like yards after contact, the total yards, 751. Missed tackles force, 42nd in college football with 51. Carries of 15 plus yards, kind of like a stat I like to look at because kind of shows you his explosiveness, being able to,
Mm.
not just get through the line of scrimmage, but obviously to, be able to get some chunk yardage and those big plays that we like. So I have to say, watching and cutting up the all 22 films, um, I came away more impressed than Ray Davis than I had previously thought about him. Did you feel the same way?
Did. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it all started with seeing him live at the Senior Bowl, being more impressed than what I thought he would be after watching him on live gameplay film on Saturdays. And yeah, I came a lot more impressed with just the footwork alone. Seeing it up close and personal was very impressive to me.
Hmm.
I don't think the athleticism is elite or even above average, but man, his footwork and how quickly he identifies things in order to navigate with that footwork, I came away deeply impressed with that portion of his game.
Yeah, I mean, his size coming in at 5'8", 220 pounds, man. He's a big
He's a
boy for
BMI
five.
monster, man.
Yeah, he is a BMI
Jesus.
monster. But watching those cut ups, and I always like to do the all 22 cut ups with against the better teams, right? I don't want to start at the beginning
Right.
in September when most college teams play the weakest opponents and they rack up the yardage. But I thought those 3 films really displayed a lot. I mean, I felt that for me, what I came away with impressed a lot was with his vision at the line of scrimmage. Thought he was a very
Mm.
patient runner. Got to some skinny creases, saw cutback lanes. But what I really like now, he'll run if he's in a gap scheme. I mean, he will run in between the tackles. But man, what I really liked was his ability to bounce outside and get out around the edge. I mean, against Bama and Georgia, he was winning, pressing the line of scrimmage. Maybe the play wasn't what he thought it was going to be, and bounced outside. I was really impressed with that. So overall, his line of scrimmage navigation, I thought was a huge plus. I think he navigated the trenches really well.
Right, he can string together moves. I put a I don't even know what we're calling it anymore, an X, a tweet, whatever it is. I
Hmm.
put a video out there of him just stringing together move after move, execute a spin move, had a nice cut right in front of the linebacker to elude. It doesn't take much. He doesn't waste any movement at all. Like he's got very subtle, strict, disciplined footwork, and align that with the vision of how quickly he identifies, developing lanes. I really like what I saw from Ray Davis. I think that he could definitely execute behind a line of scrimmage, possibly in zone or a gap scheme. I think he could probably do both because he has the size for a gap scheme, but he has that quick decision making, vision, and footwork to really identify developing lanes for a nice zone scheme too. So I think he's versatile no matter where he lands, and that's going to go a long way. And then the pass catching we need to talk about because that
Mhm.
is what showcased him at the Senior Bowl too. During the pass catching drills, he was just very natural as a pass catcher, made nice adjustments when the ball was thrown over his head or to the side. Uh, didn't lose any movement there either. Like didn't waste anything as far as catching the ball and just hitting that acceleration button to get up the field. So there's a lot I like about what Ray Davis can deliver as far as the versatility as well.
Yeah, and on those films that I cut up and we were watching, there was some vertical plays, right? I mean,
Oh yeah.
he
Yep.
went out on the side a couple times, for the dump offs, but what we kind of like to see, he would kind of fake like he was blocking, then he'd run through the line of scrimmage and run a seam
Yep.
route and be down there 10 or 15 yards. And there was like 3 or 4 plays where he was always like clapping for the ball, he was like, "Yeah, I'm here."
Right.
Um, he was, so I think, listen, man, running backs in Dynasty, we want guys that can stay on the field on third down, right? So we want the
Yeah.
guys that, I think he's a hell of a pass protector. I think he's got some ability to pass protect. I think on 2 of those films, I put a couple clips on each of those where he was engaged blocking, because I tell you, the more I kind of listen to XM radio and the NFL, one of the things they talk about with running backs that really don't make it sometimes in the NFL is just their reliability in the passing game. I don't think people realized how much a coach will not put someone in the game to protect their franchise quarterback. I think we underestimate that. So I think that's another feather in Ray Davis's cap.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good point because I watched some of the film from at the beginning of the season and I didn't see the pass protection. And I'm glad I kept going because toward the end of the season, I saw it develop. Now, that is huge because that tells me that a running back such as Ray Davis can learn quickly as far as development as the season progresses. And I love seeing that. And we got to talk about the play strength too. I mean, that size at
Mhm.
5'8", 220, he's got great functional strength. He keeps his legs turning through contact. It doesn't matter if he's in a traffic situation, just trying to get through junk in the trenches. I like that lower center of gravity. I like the thick tree trunk legs. He's got a lot of power in that lower body. So, yeah, you started this whole thing with coming away a lot more impressed. I gotta agree with you, man. There's a lot to like with Ray Davis.
Yeah, it is. Now, I guess one of the knocks, if we're going to talk about things that maybe people are concerned about, he's a 5-year player. Not sure
Right.
the age is necessarily an issue, but he does have a little wear and tear on that body playing 5 years in college football. And I think the one thing when we have the combine, we just talked about earlier next week. I don't think he's going to really shine when it comes to the 40 times and stuff like that. But I'm one of
No,
these
I
guys
don't
that
think so.
I don't care about the 40 times. I care about short area quickness. I care about footwork and an initial burst and acceleration. There's 5, 6, 7 yards. If he can't take it to the house or he gets dragged down after catching, going for a 20-yard run, I'm not really going to worry about it. But I know that's going to probably be one of the knocks on his profile is his ability. He's not going to be the fastest guy out on the field.
Yeah, and I mean, that is what it is. You and I have talked about that quite a bit. It's not the long speed is not necessarily like gonna make or break him whatsoever. We kind of know what he is. To
Hmm.
me, it's once he gets in the second level, it's that high speed change of direction. He can execute a nice cut, but if he's in full speed, he's like trying to figure out what arsenal of move he wants to make, and it just doesn't seem to work for him. So that might be an issue, but at the same time, like you just said, I think he's that 5 to 10-yard guy that you need on a down where you need to get those additional yards and you need a
Hmm.
guy that you can trust. I think that's gonna be Ray Davis.
Yeah, I think and what you said mentioned earlier too. He did a lot of at that point of getting tackled, fighting for yards, spin moves,
Oh,
trying,
yeah.
always has a good forward lean. So let's talk about his
Mhm.
draft capital, his dynasty projections. I'm thinking for the NFL draft, he's not a day 2 guy. As much as we're talking him up right now,
Yeah.
we're going to be realistic. I think he can come anywhere off the board between a 4th and the 6th round in the NFL draft. What are your thoughts?
I think you nailed it. I think 4 to 6 is the sweet spot for him.
And as far as a rookie draft, I'm thinking 3rd round at earliest. I mean, unless he gets just a day 2 draft capital and, there's nobody in a backfield and we think that he might get a starting opportunity, he might sneak into the 2nd round, but I think he's clearly a mid 3rd to 4th round guy in our rookie drafts.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think 3rd to 4th round, unless maybe, like, he lands on a team like the Ravens and becomes like what they wanted out of like, what they had in Ray
Mhm.
Rice or something like that, I could see a role for him that way.
Yeah, that would be a very sweet spot. All right, player comps, my favorite segments of these shows, my player comps. Um, I got Ramondre Stevenson, and the reason I picked Ramondre Stevenson, not that I think Davis is going to get a starting role like he got in New England, but as far as kind of a bigger back who's isn't the fastest guy, but who can string some cuts together. Who surprisingly at Oklahoma kind of was a late bloomer to the draft world, kind of like Ray Davis. No one was really thinking about him last year as a player that was going to really be getting any kind of talk or buzz, but his pass catching ability too. Stevenson can catch the ball out of the
Mhm.
backfield. He's a bigger back who, like I said, has got some good footwork, got some ability to make guys miss, isn't going to kill you with long speed. So listen, if Ray Davis could, I don't think he's going to get a starting job in the NFL. I mean, this guy's clearly, I think, going to be part of a committee, unless the team finds themselves in a bunch of injury prone situations where then he's going to be, the featured guy for a while. But Stevenson was my cop.
I can see that, especially with the play strength as well. I
Hmm.
got a lesser athletic Miles Sanders. It's the footwork, it's the navigation, it's the quick twitch acceleration right off the line of scrimmage, or I'm sorry, upon the time that he takes a snap and gets the ball in his hands. I see a lot of what Miles Sanders did while he was in Carolina that I see with Ray Davis. So I can see a similar comp with that.
I see. That's an interesting comp. Yeah. Yeah. So there you guys go, man. That is Ray Davis. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what his draft capital is, see where his landing
Mhm.
spot is. But player that I think is going to be, clearly in my top 7 or 8 running backs in the draft by the time we get there.